start again. It's a rich
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be talking about and making a video that I was supposed to make probably a couple of weeks ago from now when the Chicago Bulls ended the season, and that is the Chicago Bulls yearly awards, ladies and gentlemen. I did this last year, and at the end of the day, it's basically based off of, again, what the award should be for the Chicago Bulls, who should get awards and who obviously needs to improve, as well as all the Bulls weeklies that I've made throughout the course of the regular season. If you haven't checked out those Bulls weekly videos and you want a recap of a week-by-week basis for the Chicago Bulls, I recommend you go and look at those videos and kind of give you an indication of who's playing well at certain times throughout the regular season and stuff of that nature. Now, at the end of the day, we're going to be, I guess, summing all of those things up into a yearly award for the Chicago Bulls, and I guess we're going to be giving some accolades to some of these players who rightfully deserve them, in my opinion. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls awards that we'll be giving today. Your overall thoughts and opinions on whether I made the wrong decision in terms of these awards, if you agree with these awards, and everything of that nature. I feel like that is very important for the Chicago Bulls to, I guess, give credit where credit is due. Obviously, we weren't the best team out there in the NBA, and we still have a lot of work to do next year to try and get to that level. And obviously, next year, when we make a video like this, it might be a little bit better because we might be in a better position. But in terms of this year as well, we can't forget how good this year kind of was for the Chicago Bulls. It was still a successful season, getting us back into those winning records for the Chicago Bulls. So these players definitely deserve a little bit of praise, and we're going to be giving that praise to some of these players. So the three awards that I usually give out in those Bulls weeklies are obviously the must improve, I should say, which is, again, the player that probably disappointed, in my opinion, the most throughout the course of the season and does need to work on his game a little bit. The sixth man of the year, of the week, which will be transferred to the sixth man of the year. Obviously, the player of the week, which will be transferred basically to the MVP of this team. And we're going to give out a few more as well for the Chicago Bulls, don't you worry. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. The first one I want to get out of the way is the must improve for the Chicago Bulls. The player that kind of disappointed the most this season and has to have a little bit of work done in terms of his game next year. Now, this, in my opinion, there are a couple of nominees you could put into this conversation. I will obviously give some nominees. I think Kobe White is someone that could be put into this conversation. Again, not had the best of seasons this year, probably one of his worst years throughout the 3 years in the NBA. Playing at the bench as well, and also just a bit inconsistent. Vucevic is the same, with the caliber of the player that he was at the time. And probably still is, in my opinion. The fact that he just simply could not really get his game going for the Chicago Bulls. He didn't really fit in or gel in until, I guess, the second half of the season, really, and that's expected. But even still, at the second half of the season, he just simply wasn't necessarily, I guess, the player that we expected him coming into this season as well. So that's definitely someone you could put the conversation on. And someone else that I feel like could be in the conversation for the Must Improve award is Tristan Thompson. Again, came into this team, didn't really, I guess, meet those levels of expectation as well. I do feel like the team kind of went downhill. It wasn't just Tristan Thompson, of course, but the team did go downhill with that signing of Tristan Thompson. I feel like Tony Bradley's another guy that you could put into this award. Came into this team as a backup center for the Chicago Bulls, and at the end of the day, we still ended up needing another backup center because he just wasn't up to the task. I can list a bunch of players. I can even list players that are no longer on the Chicago Bulls team, like Alize Johnson. He's a guy that got waived from the Chicago Bulls. You could also list just a bunch of guys, in my opinion. And I feel like I have to, in general, for this team, I need to pick a player that's on this team. And I think the player that I would most probably want to give it to, I think, is probably Nikola Vucevic, just because the level of player that he is and the expectation that we probably saw from him as part of the Big Three this year and what actually occurred for the Chicago Bulls is three different things in total, in my opinion. And I don't think we saw what we could have saw from Nikola Vucevic. And I still have that faith inside of me that believes that he can be the player that we want him to be. But at the end of the day, there were a couple of times where he just was a bit disappointing because we expect so much more out of him. The rebounding was sensational. Obviously, he gets a lot more minutes than the other guys on this team, so his stats are miles better than all of them. But again, just knowing his role on the team, what he was expected to be on the team, or what he actually was on this team, it was really disappointing. So I think he has to be the guy that needs to be the must improved. And I'm not talking about skills-wise. I'm not talking about his IQ or anything like that, because I feel like those are all top-level things for Vucevic. I think the must improve comes in terms of, A, his confidence. I feel like he lacked extreme confidence this season. And there were a couple of times where he actually came out to the media and he said he doesn't know what's happening to him. He's never had experience like this on the Chicago Bulls team where he was struggling this much, and he has to continue to work hard to make sure he's back at that level that he wants to be at. Those are words of a guy that's kind of struggling. And if he openly admits that he's struggling, and obviously the Bulls fans can see that he's struggling as well, I feel like that's the person I'd most specifically give that must improve award. I do feel like he has the IQ. I feel like he's one of the better passing big men in the NBA. I believe he has the ability and the talent. We've seen that throughout the course of his career. But for one reason or another, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's, I guess, the game plan that we put to Vucevic, but he just wasn't the guy that I think we could have seen. So that's why I'd give him the must improve award. But now let's turn from the must improve to the most improved for the Chicago Bulls. And I have one key guy that I instantly think, without a shadow of a doubt, deserves this award the most. If you look at his stats from last year for the Chicago Bulls to this year for the Chicago Bulls, it is a very easy decision to give. My most improved is Javonte Green. I praise this guy like he's the best player on this team, but I know he's not the best player on this team, and I think many Bulls fans know he's not the best player on this team. But if you're looking at statistics, if you're looking at the impact of the game, if you're looking at every aspect of the game being improved upon, that's where Javonte Green enters the conversation. He's had a miles better year with miles more opportunities on this team than he had last year. So it's a very easy decision for me to give the most improved to Javonte Green. I think he thoroughly deserves, I guess, an award like that. I think he's been phenomenal this year for the Chicago Bulls in that avenue. I think he's the hard-working player, the most hard-working, one of the most at least, on this Chicago Bulls team. And you need guys like this to gel together in order to improve your season for, I guess, many seasons to come, hopefully, with Javonte Green. Let's move into the defensive player of the year. I think this is definitely something that at the end of the day, again, it's something that maybe a lot of guys would pride in, the defensive end. But ultimately, our defense came crumbling down at the end of the year. So it's very hard to say with, I guess, full certainty who should get this award. Again, you can look at guys like Alex Caruso, that was probably here a little bit longer than other guys on this team. But at the end of the day, was part of the reason why our defense was so bad. And obviously, you can look at guys like Lonzo Ball. Again, the two dynamic defenders on this team. And Lonzo Ball's injury definitely hurt our defensive end as well. So these two guys are probably the ones that I'm most, I guess, interested in terms of this award. There are other guys that probably could be in that conversation. Again, I think Javonte Green had really good defense at the beginning of the year. I even think Troy Brown Jr. wasn't too bad defensively this year whatsoever as well. Derrick Jones Jr., despite his fouling, could definitely be in the conversation. But, and even Patrick Williams to an extent. But I think I'm going to go with Lonzo Ball in terms of this award. Now, the reason why is I think that the whole team defense kind of revolved around multiple guys on this team being able to switch, guard bigger bodies, steals and deflections, and just being able to trust the individual defender one-on-one. And in terms of trusting individual defenders, I feel like this team trusted Lonzo Ball a lot more than other guys on this team. And Alex Caruso is definitely neck and neck in this conversation. Alex Caruso had, again, he's one of the steal leaders in the NBA at one point in time. He came off the bench, was doing incredible things. He's a guy that takes a lot of charges, puts his body on the line. And he played longer than, I guess, Lonzo Ball as well. So if you give this award to Alex Caruso, again, how can I sit here and complain about that? But I guess the reason why I give it to Lonzo Ball is that this team's defense became the 29th defense in the league without Lonzo Ball. So I do feel like, again, it could be relevancy or recency biased for Alex Caruso because he did play at the ending parts of the season. But with Lonzo Ball, I think many people don't actually remember what kind of defense he actually brought to the table for the Chicago Bulls. The ability to switch on bigger guys and actually guard bigger guys as well was a very important aspect for this team. So I'm very excited to see how we can go next year and whether or not it could be a good thing for Lonzo Ball to continue that level and increase that level of defense. I also felt like he had history making numbers on the defensive end for the Chicago Bulls until he got injured. So I guess it's a question of what could have been as well if he had a healthy year. But I personally would give that Defensive Player of the Year to Lonzo Ball. Then we're looking into the Sixth Man of the Year. And again, while Alex Caruso didn't get in the Defensive Player of the Year award, he's going to get in the Sixth Man of the Year award. In my opinion, Alex Caruso was the best, I guess, bench player for the Chicago Bulls this year. Again, looking at other guys that could be in this conversation, maybe Kobe White would be one of those guys. But again, Kobe White was in the must-improve category for nominations as well. So I think that goes to show that our bench has been massively underwhelming this year. I think the depth that we thought we had coming into this season didn't actually live out to be what we wanted it to be or what we thought it can be. So that's where I've always felt, especially at the end of the season, the bench probably needs to have a little bit of an overhaul. Some guys have to stay, but some guys have to leave as well. And this bench needs to be revamped to suit the style that we want in terms of going in the future, the presence of this team. So at the end of the day, Alex Caruso, I think, is far and away the best bench player on the Chicago Bulls team. I think if he stayed healthy all year, he might have had a shout to be in that conversation for one of the best bench players in the league. Obviously, Tyler Hero was going to win that award no matter what with the season he had. Alex Caruso could have been part of that conversation as well. Definitely not winning that Sixth Man of the Year award for the NBA, but again, being in the conversation. And what he brought to the table was starting quality, in my opinion. I think he could have easily been a starter on this team and still did some good work. And he has, for the most part, when he was starting, did some good work. Whether it was starting a shooting guard, starting a point guard. And I guess even the most important thing, Alex Caruso finished the games for the Chicago Bulls. When this team is fully healthy and we had the minutes and the rotation necessary to go out and win these games that we won, who was ending these games? It was Alex Caruso. We put that much faith in the sixth man of the Chicago Bulls in Alex Caruso that he was the one finishing off games for the Chicago Bulls because he brings so much intensity defensively and he's always going to give a shift every single night on the floor. So congratulations to the sixth man of the year for the Chicago Bulls in Alex Caruso. And now we're going to get to the Rookie of the Year as well. This is a very easy one. I don't need to go too much into this. We only had 2 rookies that played this year. One of them got garbage time minutes on a certain occasion and went to the G League. The other one played for the Chicago Bulls and got better every single step of the way. Ayo Dosunmu is the Rookie of the Year for the Chicago Bulls. I probably won't even mention this award next year because I feel like next year we're only going to have 1 rookie. So whether he survives or not, I guess in the league or with this team, I don't think there's any point in actually mentioning the Rookie of the Year going forward. And the MVP for the Chicago Bulls. And obviously, I think the clear decision here is DeMar DeRozan. And that is the final award that we're going to give. DeMar DeRozan had an MVP caliber season in the NBA. If it wasn't for the end of the season for the Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan probably would have got more votes in the MVP race. And I think there's no question he was the best player for the Chicago Bulls this year. He was the most durable player for the Chicago Bulls this year. He was one of the most efficient players for the Chicago Bulls this year. He led the team to multiple victories. He had an extremely fantastic month of February, historic month of February, back-to-back buzzer beaters, never done before in the NBA. He's led us to a lot of great moments, and these moments will live down for the Chicago Bulls history forever. Just like how Derrick Rose is always embedded in the history of the Chicago Bulls with his ability to play his MVP caliber season that he won the MVP at, again competing with the best teams in the NBA. I think DeMar DeRozan's season lives up to that caliber as well, and I definitely think his season will be remembered, even if it's not as good next year, even if it's never going to get as good as it was this year. DeMar DeRozan's season will always be remembered, in my opinion, as Bulls history, and we should never ignore that as, I guess, Bulls fans. We should always be respectful. We should always be appreciative of what we saw out of DeMar DeRozan this year, even if the end of the season wasn't necessarily the greatest of the greats for him. And unfortunately, that's just how it went, and we can't really change anything about it. But it doesn't necessarily take away what we truly saw from DeMar this year. I'm going to end the video here. The Bulls annual award has come to an end for 2022. Obviously, next year, we'll be looking forward for this award again. We'll be giving out awards, maybe more awards, maybe less awards. Who really knows at this point in time? Can't really predict the years down the line. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.